and welcome to the Epic Exchange, the podcast where we have real conversations about senior life, senior living, dementia care, and the amazing people who make it all happen. I'm Erica Lab, Director of Team Member Engagement and Culture at Epic Senior Living, the premier provider of senior living in the Northeast.
And I'm Sarah Turcotte, Area Community Liaison for several of our Bridges by Epic and Waterstone communities. Together, we'll be your host, bringing you stories, insights, and expert voices from across our organization and beyond. Whether you're a caregiver, a family member, a professional, somebody navigating the early stages of dementia, or somebody considering assisted living, this podcast probably has something for you. We're here to share what we've learned, spotlight the work happening every day in senior care, and offer ideas and inspiration to support well-being at every stage of aging.
Each episode, we will be joined by guests who are making a difference, from community leaders to care team members and clinical experts. Today, we are delighted to welcome our friend Luidja, Jean Louise, Executive Director of Bridges by Epic at Lexington, to share both what happens within Bridges communities during the holiday season and to share practical advice for caregivers supporting loved ones during the holiday season at home. As Executive Director of Bridges by Epic at Lexington, Luidja is responsible for our community's daily operations. She leads a dedicated team in carrying out the unique Bridges approach to memory care. Her goal is to ensure that every resident enjoys a comfortable, inspiring, and well-focused lifestyle every single day. Luidja has more than a decade of senior living and healthcare experience. She's a registered nurse and has multiple higher education degrees and certifications, including her Associate of Science degree in nursing and a certificate in Alzheimer's and dementia care. And we have seen it live and in person. What a fabulous provider you are, and what a great leader. So thrilled to have you on our show today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Great to have you here.
Nurse extraordinaire for sure.
Oh, you stop it.
Yeah, no, it's a true story. I mean, before we dive into some of these questions, can you share just a little bit about how you came into senior care and becoming the fabulous nurse that you are?
So, interestingly enough, prior to veering into assisted living, I was aspired to be a pediatric nurse. So,
oh my gosh.
After my peds rotation, I changed my mind.
Thank God for rotations, right?
And so geriatrics just spoke to me. It made sense just for where I was, who I am, and the nursing home world can take a toll, the skilled nursing. And so my first experience in assisted living, I was blown away. And ever since I went that route, I never went back.
Yeah, and you continue to accelerate your career, going from the caring side and the wellness side into the operations side, which
Very
is
true.
Quite a move. And what a luxury for the folks you serve to have an operations person who has the nursing background. I just think it's like, you know, in the acting business, they call it a triple thread. It's like, you know, the double thread of, it's just fantastic. It's like a lot of talent in one person. So
absolutely. And I think about, you know, in your role now as executive director, you were helping our residents, right? Primarily as with your nursing background. And not only do we help our residents and people living with dementia, but when you're working with cognitive impairment, oftentimes we're working with the caregivers too.
Absolutely.
So to come with your expertise and your knowledge in supporting families, it really goes a long way. And it really brings us to the topic we're here to chat about today, which is caregiving through the holidays. You know, the holidays is known as an exciting time. It can stir up excitement, nostalgia, but it can also bring stress and sadness, and it's difficult to navigate. I would just love to start, you know, can you share a little bit about what you see families going through when the holidays start to approach?
I mean, to your point, you know, the holidays are supposed to be exciting and warm, but we do see some of that. We see a mix of emotions for the most part, and it's typically joy and sadness. So it's a mix. It's bittersweet even.
I want to say, too, when we talk about the holidays, like, we're really talking about a wide variety of holidays, like, because especially in communal living, you're living with people from all different backgrounds who celebrate all different holidays. So we're really talking about, quite a big swath. We have the like American holidays of like Thanksgiving, right? That, but also like various religions, and a lot of traditions tend to be highlighted this time of year because of, I think, probably because of Christmas, so that like a lot of other holidays get amplified to enjoy the holiday season like culturally. And so you have to meet like all these different needs of people.
Yes, we are very inclusive.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And
it's a lot of planning,
It's a
though.
lot of
It's a lot of planning and changes of routines. And, can you share a little bit about the maybe patterns or emotions that you find people going through as they're going through these changes?
Absolutely. So with our families, we tend to see, they miss how things used to be, right? You think about their loved ones, and depending on where they're at in the journey, maybe things have progressed, whether it be at home or in our communities. Things do progress, unfortunately. That's the nature of the illness. And so depending on where they're at, it's not when they think back to previous memories, right? Because the holidays invoke so many different feelings, and mom can't bake those cookies that she used to, or
host
all those, right? And so it is bittersweet. They show up, they make an effort, and it's nice to see. My heart certainly goes out to them. It's the mix of emotions. And for us, and what makes it special, I have a great team. I'll start with that, because it does take a village. But we focus on intentional connections. It's not just about the big celebrations and the noise, but really just connections and warmth, and still finding opportunities. And that's what we tell our families. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
I think a lot of people hold on to what those traditions were and hold this standard and making sure it is like every other holiday. And a lot of times putting that pressure on themselves, it's almost like unrealistic expectations that they're putting on themselves.
Like you mentioned the cookies, right? Like baking cookies is often, a winter holiday tradition, no matter what you celebrate, right? And so if that's the tradition, I've seen, on social media, you all providing that opportunity to bake cookies, and talk a little bit about how you welcome other folks in to do that, and also how making cookies changes maybe with someone with dementia, but how you still relive it.
Absolutely. So we don't just focus on limitations, we focus on possibilities. And what's still possible is, mom or dad can't go through all the motions, but they can still sprinkle in the sugar, or they can mix the batter. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is it going to be messy? Yes. But we make it fun. So we just focus on what's still possible at various different levels.
Yeah, it's in the moment, and creating those festive moments.
And the smells, the taste, everything just creates this calm and just really nice atmosphere.
Yeah, it's
for
interesting
everyone.
too how someone with dementia, we know like often their most recent, for them, for the person with the disease, right? The most recent holidays maybe aren't what they're thinking of, so it's like, if I'm visiting a parent, I'm like, oh, this is, what did we do? But they might be thinking about their own childhood, it's like,
depending on where they are on their journey. And yeah, very true.
Or any loss, sometimes our brains go to losses during certain times of year, and that's, I think, where some of that sadness too, on top of the current losses.
Yeah.
Very true.
If someone passed away, 5 days before Christmas, or, during Hanukkah, or the day after Thanksgiving, like our bodies sort of hold that too.
That grief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so do you see that manifesting in behavioral symptoms,
Absolutely. Behavior it's a way of communication. There's always underlying triggers, and grief certainly plays a role. A lot of we have a lot of widows, unfortunately, or a lot of losses, right?
Yeah.
That comes with old age. So yes, that's a great point.
Yeah, the holidays can be a blue time for some people if they're celebrating with someone that's no longer with them that was special or a part of their traditions and celebrating.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about knowing that, reframing like the expectations. So you're working with a family, newer family, holiday season. What are some things you can help them with, or things that you might say to them to shift their idea of holidays and what is expected of them, and tricks you all use with dates and times of celebration so that people can rethink the way they do it?
The holidays certainly may look different in memory care, and a lot of what we focus on is what's still possible. Oftentimes, some of our, some folks with dementia, they may be disoriented. They may not know specifically that today is, let's say you celebrate Christmas, that it is Christmas. So I always tell families, celebrate when you can and however you can. Don't, feel that it's a must. Oh, it's Christmas Day and I have to see. No, again, we're not looking for perfection. It's really, it's those moments of connection,
Right.
and
So
making
important.
the best
And
of what's still possible.
Exactly. And I think, too, like you were saying, it's all in how we're, like you were doing at Bridges, you guys make the residents a part of the process in getting ready for the holidays. People are helping to put up little decorations or reminiscing over decorations as they're putting them out. So again, it's a lot of pressure because we're getting ready for the holidays, but how can we turn this into something that's more meaningful than stressful?
And you can do that at home too. Same thing, like walking around with the garland, having someone help you. And doesn't mean if it's Christmas, say, you don't have to get a big tree, but even just like
A
decorating
tabletop
the garland
one.
or tabletop tree
Absolutely.
and, some intergenerational stuff. Those dates, like that was something I learned, and that kind of like was a head scratcher, like also just for those of us, with life changes, right? So we're, a lot of families we work with are in the sandwich generation of like, they're caring for teens and their parents. And it's like, do we have to have a big Christmas Eve party? Like, maybe no. Like, maybe we don't have to have that. Like, it's okay to like switch things up a little bit, or to pare down and say we're going to have, 2 families over and we're going to have a great time, but we're not going to, have 50 people over because it's upsetting to grandma or it's too much. Like, because a lot of times it's too much.
And that overstimulation is what causes some symptoms to be triggered, right?
Absolutely.
Or behaviors that come up
Right.
because of this overstimulation.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a great, maybe sharing a few ideas on how people can adapt. As Erica was saying, is it having one family over at a time? Or when the family does come, the kids play in this room and,
Right.
my memory impaired loved one stays in this room so it's not so overstimulating.
Absolutely. There's a lot of routine changes around the holidays,
Right.
and that can cause confusion with someone with memory impairment. And so, it depends on, where they're at in terms of stages. For some, it might make sense to we have, for example, in our community, we can reserve a separate room, which is more of like a conference room, and that's where, your loved ones can come get together and celebrate. Some celebrate right on the households, or some are able to take their loved one home. And to your point, it's just keeping that environment as calm and simplified, not too overstimulating. Music is always nice.
Yeah, music.
Brings about a lot of nice, the smells and foods. And so it's really just keeping that calmness and finding moments
Sensory
of connection.
moments,
And
yeah.
not too overstimulating, but what works for one may not work for another. I
That's
would
key.
always really just, if it's someone in the community, connect with the team and get a sense of where they're at and what can be possible, because again, we're very inclusive. Whatever the stage, we can make it happen, whether it's at the community or home. We're here to help.
And
that-
at a Bridges, you do that too. Like you do holiday, because I remember we did them at Westford, and I know they're still doing it. Like a community event so someone could bring their loved one in and do like make your own charcuterie board or whatever. And it's at like, and there's maybe 10 pairs of, caregiver and like loved one, right, in a room. And they're at 10 different levels of like what they can do with the charcuterie. Some like look like they're chef prepared, and then some like made little
Are
like
half eaten.
Yeah, or half eaten, right? But yeah, I love that. Like everybody's gonna do it a little different, but everyone can participate.
It's so funny. Just yesterday we had a pumpkin carving competition, and it was so funny going across different. I mean, it was so nice. Everyone had a blast, and they were so funny. But you could see the different levels in terms of skills, but also depending on their abilities. But overall, it was fun. Everyone had a laugh, and so yes, to your point, depending on their levels, depending on abilities, we can still make it happen. It's all about focusing on what's still possible,
right?
And enjoying those moments and communication and that engagement in between, right? Because even if it doesn't come out right, you can have a laugh at the at the end result, or
Absolutely.
There's no charcuterie to serve after because you ate it all. It's all about that process. And I also think it's important for families and caregivers during the holiday when they're making these plans to really think about what that plan B might be. Whether it's in your home or you're visiting somewhere, if things are not going as you hoped, having that plan B. And it could be even in your own home, people can get overstimulated when having company over, especially when it's not something you do all the time.
Right.
I think about a family member, I think it's the twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas, that they're hosting. Otherwise, they're going out, they're going places. So, even having a quiet spot in your own home or having that plan B and retreating if you are out somewhere.
Absolutely.
Have you had any good ideas or suggestions for families on that?
I think, collaborating with us, our families we collaborate, very collaborative relationship. And so, they're up to date on how their loved ones are. And we tend, depending on the situation, depending on the resident, we make plans, and it can be something as simple as, we'll be picking up our loved one on such and such date, making sure they have everything they need, and sometimes it could be acquiring additional support, maybe a caregiver or someone to accompany them because you're at a stage where they may need more help, but ultimately it's just collaborative, and our doors are always open. We have a lot of resources just to really help around the holidays.
Yeah.
And one thing we talk about with the staff really is staying in the moment. Is like the gift of the work that we do with these residents is like it's an opportunity to be 100% present in like what you're doing. And so like working with families, it's also their opportunity to try to be present in whatever it is they're doing. And it's like presence, not perfection.
Yeah.
That we don't it doesn't all have to be Instagram worthy. It's probably not going to be, and that's okay. That's part of the fun.
Yep.
And like not getting caught up in the end result.
I love that. It's not perfection, it's connection.
Connection. It's all about the
Absolutely.
connection. So how do you and your team talk a little bit about your team during the holidays? Like I've watched your Facebook page. Like it gets really wild. It's like, it looks like a nonstop party, which I know it's not because you do your regular programming and you keep a nice schedule, but it looks super fun, super engaging. How do you all do it?
Honestly, again, I have an amazing team, and life enrichment, dining. I have two of the most creative leaders leading those teams, and so they come up with some of the best ideas, and it makes a difference when you love what you do and when you're passionate about what you do, because it's not easy working in this line of work, and seeing so much. Lost, right?
Yeah.
Loss of function, loss of memory and whatnot. But they are somehow able to turn it around. They come up with the most creative things. And as far as a team and how we operate, honestly, is through teamwork, humor.
Yeah.
And just, we're just a group of folks who really are compassionate, have empathy, and truly have a caring heart.
Right.
We love what we do. And so, yes, we get together, we meet. We're actually planning our holiday party.
So you party with your team
we
too.
Party with our residents.
Good.
It's always a party. It feels like at Lexington. And it's I have my own events, decorations and whatnot. Again, such a talented team. You walk in and you feel from the moment you step foot in, you feel the vibe, you feel the energy, and that reflects on everyone, our residents especially. It's we are inclusive in the sense that whatever stage, whether it's mild impairment to severe, you are involved. We're holding hands, we're dancing, we're singing along to carols and different types of music. So we make it inclusive, we make it fun, and we join everyone where they're at. And we reread the room. Sometimes it's not, the big noise and celebration. Sometimes it's more calm. But sometimes, it's a party. We had Elvis at our party last year.
That's awesome.
And that was fun.
It's good to have a variety.
I'll never forget, I was coming to your Purple Flag celebration when you received the honor of Purple Flag Dementia Care designation, which is a big deal in and of itself. And from the street, I could see the decorations, and there was a big purple arc of balloons. It was wild. You sure know how to decorate.
They sure do.
Kudos to my team.
Yeah, you have a great team.
And you bring up a great point. As caregivers, people are really trying hard to make the holidays wonderful for their loved one. I mean, we hear people at home, especially if their loved one's progressing, that before we make a move, we're going to get through one more holiday, one last holiday, or even if they are at the Bridges, they want to make this the holiday that's special for their loved one. But I oftentimes think caregivers are so busy trying to make their loved ones happy that they oftentimes forget about themselves.
That is
Great
so
point.
true.
And I would just love, for you to share, I think also, like we were saying earlier, the guilt and stress that caregivers put on themselves, how can caregivers recognize when they're reaching their limit, and what are some things they can do for themselves during this time of year?
Absolutely. It's going back to that need to make everything perfect, right? And what I have to say, honestly, because my heart goes out to my families, my spouses, and everyone, the daughters, the sons, and it's not easy. And I feel they have so much guilt, so much stress, and so many different emotions. Am I doing enough? Or it's okay, but also, self-care is so important. It's a necessity. It's not selfish, and just telling them to take a beat and really just focus on themselves and taking care of themselves, and to take that time for them, so that they can be their best self,
and not feel guilty for taking the time.
That's huge.
Absolutely.
It's like that the oxygen mask. You have to put it on yourself first, and then you put it on the person next to you. And that is so true. And I think finding those, when, if you're at home, when someone says, "Can I help you? How can I help?" And week after week after week, you say, "Oh, no, I'm good," to finally say, "Yeah, can you come to the house for 2 hours and hang out with my spouse? Because I'm going to go shopping, or I'm going to go to a party." And that's okay, right? And if you have someone living in a community like Bridges, to say, "I'm not going to visit on Christmas Day because Luidja and her team have it under control, and they're going to have a great time, and I'm going to do the things that I have to do, at home, and be the places I need to be, because I can come the night before and have a great time."
That's right.
With my loved one, and not feel guilty because you're taking care of it. You and your team are taking care of it, and
Absolutely.
that's just fine. And most of the time, that's what your loved one would want if they could articulate it.
100%.
And also meeting, them where they're at, not expecting for them to necessarily remember, or even if it's not going as expected, just join the journey,
Right.
just really meet them where they're at in the moment and make the best of the time spent together.
Right.
100. And, talking about the caregiver support, I really just want you to be able to take a moment to highlight some of the supportive programming you guys are offering at the Bridges communities. What are some of the supportive programming that you're offering?
So we are big on support and resources. We have multiple opportunities for virtual support groups, in-person support groups. We have Luidja Seaver, our Vice President of Operations. She is our dementia guru and such an amazing, she's an inspiration, at least to me. So we are big on support. In-house, we have a supportive team, and, we make ourselves available to our families, to folks who, even those who are not in our community, where, our senior advisor plays a big role in anyone who reaches out to us, because they may not necessarily be appropriate, or we may be a full house and not, readily available to help. We are a resource and have set support groups in place. An education series, we have different partners. McLean's Hospital is one of them. We have a ton. If you check out our website,
Yes.
Just
and
reach
we always
out.
welcome.
That's awesome.
Even if you're just thinking about it, wherever you're at on the journey, planning ahead. We meet a lot of folks who maybe one partner has, is perfectly fine, and the other has some challenges, and they want to plan ahead, and that's perfectly okay.
And I think being amongst people and knowing that you're not alone, so many people who are going through this family illness, because it truly does affect the family as a whole, they oftentimes feel alone. So to come to a space and a community where they can connect and share with one another I think is the most beautiful part of these groups.
Absolutely. I love when our families get together. We actually just started a family caregiver happy hour.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We had our second one last month, and it was just nice to see, the vibe, being with others who are in similar situations.
Sure.
And the happy hour is a nice change from the support group. The support group's not needed, but it's more social.
Absolutely. And it's for them only,
That's
just
awesome.
a time away from everything else and just taking a break, much needed
Love
break.
that.
So
I love that.
If you're in need of that, reach out to a Bridges.
Yeah, no kidding. It's one of the great, we've talked about this before, but one of the great reasons to work for Epic Senior Living, it sounds like a commercial, but like when you work for a company that allows you to
Yes.
to do what's right first, so creating those spaces is really like amazing. Like I could spend a half hour, 45 minutes on the phone with someone talking about how they're going to manage the holidays, and that's okay. They may never move into a Bridges, doesn't matter. Like that's our job, is to help people, and you all do it. Your team does it so beautiful in Lexington, and our team in Westford and all around the area. But like it's just, we're very grateful to the work you do. So thank you so much to you and your team.
it's my pleasure and my honor. It's truly to serve the terrible disease, but again, there are still so many possibilities.
That's
and
true.
That's the focus.
Connection, connection, connection.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up, because your presence, Luidja, is always so calming, truly, for all of us. Even Erica agreed at the start of this this program. So what personally keeps you grounded and brings you joy during this time of year?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, my favorite part of my job is time spent with my residents. The more time I spend with them, they energize me somehow. That and problem solving.
Yes, you're good at
But
that.
no, I just love what I do. It just makes sense for me, for who I am, and I love what I do. So when you love what you do, it doesn't even,
It's not work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah, no, and it shows each and every day. And I can't thank you enough for being here and sharing your insight and advice for family members who are caregiving through the holidays.
And happy holidays, everyone. Whatever you celebrate, do it well. Do it for fun and joy. And
Make sure to take time to fill your cup and
fill your cup. Yes.
Self-care.
Thank you so
Self-care during
much.
these holidays. Everyone's going to be
right.
getting a spa gift card.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. This has been Epic Exchange, and we'll see you next time.
Until the next time, take
you.
care.